to win, period. There's too much talent for this not to get turned around. Hi, remember me? I'm a victory. That's a statement right there. Let's go.
And welcome. I hope you had a great week. We have a lot of hot topics, and you know what? I know we have a lot of football fans. It's kind of a football-centric show. So let's get to it. Let me welcome in our panelist. He took the red eye from the NFL owners' meetings in Phoenix, Arizona, from a posh resort, the one, the only, Ira Kaufman, Tampa Tribune, TBO.com.
Rock, I took a 2-hour nap just to make sure I can make this show.
You look
with
fresh.
You and Jenna.
You
I'm
look
ready to go, and I'm going to tell you all about what happened in Phoenix.
Can't wait. And hard working. SportsTalkFlorida.com, Fox Sports 1 covers the Bucks, covers the NFL, very active on Twitter. The one, the only Jenna Lane. How are you, Jenna?
Wonderful. How are you doing, Rob?
Good, good, good. All right, let's get to it here. Now, we're going to start, what do you think? Jameis Winston, Mariota, NFL owners meetings. But here's how I want to phrase this question. Lovie Smith said the other day out there, Ira, that he sees early success for both quarterbacks. So I'm going to ask you, Jameis Winston, Mariota, do you see these guys, whatever teams they're on, starting from day one?
Not necessarily. Lovie Smith is a smart man, and I'll tell you why, Rock. Look, if this was a fight between Winston and Mariota, the towel would have been thrown in about 6 weeks ago. It's over. This fight's over, barring another revelation or Winston screwing up.
So
it's over.
It's Winston.
It's Winston. It's Winston.
Right.
But people say, why don't the Bucks make it official? Why don't they just say that they're going with Winston? You don't do that, Rock. It's smart. There's 5 weeks to go, and things can change. Clearly, he's the lead. The pro day in Tallahassee Tuesday, that's not going to change a thing.
Right.
Zero. Lovey's already said, hey, in games, guys miss throws. So if he missed a couple of throws, that's not going to change the equation. But if something comes down the pike, they got to abandon Winston, and they go with Mariota. That's why Lovey's been also talking up Mariota, been very careful about it. But, Rock, talking to a lot of other NFL people in Phoenix, they're worried about Mariota making that transition from that spread offense. It's a real concern.
Interesting. All right, Jenna.
Well, it's a valid concern because the last time he called plays and the last time he was actually in a huddle was in high school. So very valid concern. But I was talking to a prominent quarterbacks coach in the NFL, and he said, you know what? I don't know if I'd take either of these guys with the first overall pick. And I don't think either of these guys are ready to start on day one, but they're both likely going to be thrust into that position, and both of them are going to struggle. And the one thing that was emphasized to me, and I agree with it, is that we need to accept the fact that Andrew Luck is not the new standard. He is an outlier. We are not going to see a guy like him for a long time. It's unfortunate for fans, anybody other than the Indianapolis Colts, because it seems almost unfair that they've had Peyton Manning and now Andrew Luck, but most of these guys are simply not ready to start day one.
If the guy doesn't start late game one, it's not going to take long. It's not going to be long. The first bad game, Glennon, I don't think Glennon's going to be there, but or Jason Campbell or whoever's the backup and becomes the starter in week one. The first bad game that guy has, the fans are going to be clamoring
Especially
for
when
Winston.
the overall #1 pick.
You
yes,
know,
we know that.
and he's going to play in that first year.
Okay, well, you brought up Glennon. Interesting. I'll start with you, Jenna. Lovie Smith also was saying, and Jason Light, the GM, they've been getting a lot of calls on Mike Glennon. I can understand that. Look how much Josh McCown got to go to Cleveland. So if Light says that, they'll continue to take calls. Wow. What do you think they could get for Glennon, and do you think they possibly are considering getting rid of Glennon?
Well, when you consider the fact that they have so many needs and they have 8 draft picks right now, yet they still need to get another guard to go opposite Logan Mankins. I think they're looking to upgrade that. They're also looking for a tackle because you don't know where DeMar Dotson's going to be. And who knows who's going to be that right defensive end. I think we're all looking there. And, of course, quarterback. I don't know if you can fill all those needs in the draft with 8 spots like that. So you know what? Recouping another pick, maybe they get a 5th-round pick out of them. And I'll tell you what, I've talked to a number of coaches around the league, assistants, that have said they think that Mike Glennon can start. And you consider the fact that in 2 seasons he threw, 29 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That's not bad. Although I will say this, though. With this new offensive coordinator, he can do some things with him. I really think that this style of offense, it favors Glennon a lot more versus what they had with Jeff Tedford. It's less West Coast, more pushing the ball down the field. So I don't know, and especially, too, when you consider the injuries, the fact that, you get a rookie out there, maybe he's not ready right away. Would you really want to part ways with him?
I think Jenna makes some good points about all the, you know, Lovey got badgered at his breakfast on Wednesday. Hey, what are you doing about the offensive line? You couldn't block. What are you doing about right defensive end? Even the guy on the left side, Jacques Smith, is a young developing player at 6. He showed some potential, but he's not proven. You know, and Lovey says, well, you can't do everything at once, but Jenna makes a good point. I think they're still into getting extra picks. I'm sorry. I wouldn't be surprised if they use a pick to go back into the first round, and I've got a name to throw out to your viewers, my man.
Let's do it.
Especially if Winston is the pick, which I think.
Right.
Cameron Irving.
Really?
Of the Florida State Seminoles, a comfort level for Winston, very versatile. You know they loved Zach Martin last year, and the Cowboys ended up, and he ended up in the Pro Bowl.
Interesting.
I don't think Irving's as good as him, but he's a darn good player, and I think he's very attractive to the Bucs.
All right, the other thing is the draft itself. It's always been at Radio City Music Hall, New York City. It's moving to Chicago. Roger Goodell in the State of the State said it's going to be great. But I'm going to ask our panelists, fans that are watching on TV, there's only so many that are going to be able to go there. Do you think fans really care where the draft is, Jenna?
Well, I think the NFL is really upset with Radio City Music Hall because they got ousted in favor of a Broadway production that had to get canceled because of lack of interest. So you know what? They're pretty much sticking it to Radio City Music Hall, which is kind of a shame in the sense that I really think that New York, it's a city that epitomizes the American dream. So many of these guys, a lot of them are the first graduates, you know, in their families, first college graduates in their families, and so they're going and realizing their dreams in New York City. Unfortunately, it's not panning out that way, but I think Chicago is a great alternate. And although the one thing with this situation is the fact that you have about 2,000 less seats for the fans that actually want to be there on draft day. This auditorium holds a max of about 4,000 versus 6,000 of the previous one. I don't really think fans, you know, it's such a made-for-TV spectacle, especially
and of course the guy who won't be there is Jameis Winston.
Is that still the word that you're getting?
That's the word, and it doesn't seem like the NFL's upset about it. I asked Goodell specifically.
Did you?
On Wednesday.
Okay.
I asked him 2 things. How did your meeting go with Winston? And he said it was candid, extremely candid. So he laid down the law to Winston about what's required for rookies coming into the NFL. He didn't fool around. Winston met with a bunch of people from the NFL. So it was a very frank discussion. The other part is, what about Winston not showing up at the draft? He goes, to each his own. We're not going to put any pressure on him to show up. And I think those stories about that the word came down from the league office, that's nonsense. That didn't happen. But, you know, Rock, I'm sorry, to Jenna's point, the only guy I'm going to miss in Chicago are those crazy Jets and Giants fans who booed every pick they made. And you know what? Goodell says those guys are going to get priority to go to Chicago.
Are they?
They might boo the Jets pick in Chicago.
Awesome. All right, we're just getting going. Now, when we come back, Bill Belichick, I don't know if you were around him out there, Ira. He cursed out some NFL officials. He says the NFL's being cheap on his idea with the cameras and the replay. We'll discuss that and a whole lot more. Special edition, football, more football.